Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to a brand new Talkin and Grubbin live nightly digital show. Well, the NFL season is slowly but surely approaching soon. So tonight, I'm going to start my breakdown of each division, tell you all the off-season moves, and also predict where each team will end up this season. It's going to for the next seven nights, I'll be breaking it down. Tonight, I'm going to be breaking down the AFC West, all right here on Talkin and Grubbin, live nightly digital show, which tips off right here and right now. Hey, what's up, good people? I'm QC. Welcome to a brand new Talkin and Grubbin live nightly digital show. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing good. I'm doing good. Glad that you're all here. I'm glad that I'm back to be live with all you again tonight. This is a special edition of Talkin and Grubbin live nightly digital show. The NFL season is over a week away from kickoff. Man, time has shown fly by ever since the Super Bowl. I can't believe that we're back with another season this quick. But here we are. We definitely getting closer and closer. So for the next few nights, I'm going to be breaking down every division in the NFL and giving my predictions of where I think each team will end up this season. So tonight, I'm going to be starting on the AFC West. I'm going to be breaking down this division, breaking down each team's off-season moves, and also as I mentioned, predicting where I think each team is going to end up this season. Definitely going to be fun breaking down all 32 teams in the NFL, breaking down the divisions. Definitely think there's some teams that were worse last year that's going to be first this year. And I think there's going to be a couple of teams that take a step back this year. Got myself a sandwich here. I'm about to grub on. That's definitely good. All right, before I get into my breakdown, let me pause and let you hear a word from our partners at BetUs.com, where the game begins.
Your favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com, is back for our 28th year of NFL action. With the industry's biggest sign-up bonus of up to 200%, BetUS offers our members the opportunity to cash in on all your favorite sports, including NFL, NBA, MLB, and more. Sign up at BetUS.com today to get into the action.
All right, I'm back, good people. Now, for all the sports bettors out there, if you're looking for a great sports book with this upcoming NFL season, head over to BetUs.com. Sign up now using my link, and after you put down your first deposit, you'll get a 125% sign-up bonus. Just type in the promo code JOIN125. You'll have more chances to bet, more chances to win, and you get easy payouts with your winnings. BetUs, where the game begins. All right, I also saw somebody in the chat. My guy, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for joining me. Make sure y'all subscribe to his channel. He definitely does a pretty good job with the sports highlights. I'm definitely excited with the NFL coming back. Can't wait. Definitely can't wait next week for the kickoff between the Chiefs and the Lions. Make sure y'all tune in for that for my dinner, for the season premiere of Dinner and Sunday Night Football. That's going to be around 7:30. Sorry about that. All right, so let's get into it. And what better way to start off than what better way to excuse me. Let's get into it. First team that I'm about to break down. What better way than to start with the Kansas City Chiefs? As we all know, in 2022, the Chiefs had a 14-3 record. They won the AFC West. They went on to win Super Bowl 57, against the Eagles. Their second Super Bowl in 4 years. And also they made some key additions. Chad Henne, he retired after that Super Bowl. So they brought in Blaine Gabbert to back up Pat Mahomes. They brought in defensive tackle Chris Williams, Drew Tranquill. He switches teams. He stays in the AFC West. He goes from the Chargers to the Chiefs. Richie James, the wide receiver from the Giants. Lamar Jackson. No, not the one that plays in Baltimore, but cornerback Lamar Jackson. Also, the departures, definitely a lot of key pieces to that Super Bowl. Either ended up getting bags and moved on to new opportunities, starting with Frank Clark, who was a big part of their 2 Super Bowl championships. He stays in the AFC West, goes over to the Broncos. Juan Thornhill, the safety, he joined my Cleveland Browns. Orlando Brown, the offensive lineman, who was definitely a big part in protecting Pat Mahomes. He ends up going to the Bengals. Now he's protecting Joe Burrow. McCole Hartman, definitely a pretty good receiver for Mahomes, especially on third down. He goes over to the Jets. He goes from one great quarterback to another as he's now playing with Aaron Rodgers and Juju Smith-Schuster. He signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots. And that definitely always happens when you win a Super Bowl, that a lot of key guys are definitely going to get their money somewhere else. So that's definitely not shocking that a lot of those guys departed for better opportunities. They had the resume, and a lot of teams were seeking them. I'm sure the Chiefs wanted to keep at least some of them, but they knew it wasn't possible. So they let those guys move on and pursue opportunities with other teams. Now, of course, the Chiefs are going to be excellent once again this upcoming season. You still got Pat Mahomes, the two-time Super Bowl MVP, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, and their sister, and they always find guys that can definitely play in the system. So Richie James, that's a good addition. He was pretty solid for the Giants last year. I'm sure he's definitely going to get some more opportunities and reps now playing with Mahomes compared to Daniel Jones. Also, definitely like the pickup of Tranquil. That's a good replacement right there. Also, excuse me, they get a pretty solid corner in Jackson. So that definitely improves that defense for the Chiefs a little bit. But also definitely see them winning the AFC West again. Also, as long as you got Pat Mahomes, you're definitely a contender. 9 times out of 10, you're definitely going to win your division just about every single year. But my question with the Chiefs, my question with the Chiefs is their offensive line. They have a lot of older guys on that offensive line, like Joe Tooney. He's getting up there in age. I'm definitely surprised that the Chiefs didn't focus a little bit more on offensive line during the offseason and the draft because, you definitely need guys that can protect Mahomes because you can't have Mahomes, Mahomes being out there by himself and his old lineman is getting ran through like a knife through butter and they could just come in and get the sack on him. Basically, when the Chiefs have won their Super Bowls, they've had a great offensive line. When they haven't won the Super Bowl, their offensive line was not all that good. And that was the case when they lost to the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. That was the case also when they lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. So definitely got my questions about that offensive line. Can it stay upright for 17 games? Are they going to be pretty good enough to protect Pat Mahomes? Now, yes, we all know how great of a runner and scrambler Pat Mahomes is. But still, once he's in that pocket, he's going to need all the protection he can get because there are definitely some linebackers and defensive linemen that want to make their name by saying that, hey, they got the sack on Pat Mahomes or they got the the sack fumble. Or they run Pat Mahomes' bail. So that's definitely my main question with the Chiefs. Can that offensive line, stay up for a full season? Can it stay healthy for a full season in order to try to repeat as Super Bowl champions? Now, if that offensive line can do that, they got a great chance of repeating. But if it doesn't, then I don't know. 9 times out of 10, the Chiefs are not going to win another Super Bowl. And I know a lot of Chiefs fans, if y'all either watching this live or y'all watching the replay, y'all may not want to hear that, but that's just the reality of it. Especially when you got a great quarterback like Mahomes who definitely likes to make plays out of the pocket with either his scrambling or rolling around and waiting for receivers to get open. That's just the reality. And I definitely wish the Chiefs would have addressed the offensive line just a little bit more this offseason with a few guys that were younger because some of those vets you could have got rid of via trade. They still have some value. So some team would have gave you something for them. But definitely expect the Chiefs to be great again this season, to be a bona fide contender. For another Super Bowl and be a contender in the AFC. They are the team to beat in the AFC. But just my question is, can that offensive line stay healthy and stay upright for 17 games to protect Pat Mahomes. All right, on to my next team is the LA Chargers. Now, we all know the Chargers have a great young QB in Justin Herbert, who got his extension last month for $200+ million. And they're coming off of a pretty good season last year. They finished 10-7. They made the playoffs. They ultimately lost in the AFC wildcard game in heartbreaking fashion to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which shouldn't have happened. Definitely shouldn't have happened. That's one of the biggest choke jobs I've seen in an NFL playoff game in a long time. We all know the Chargers had a 35-10 lead in the fourth quarter, and the Jaguars made one of the most historic comebacks in playoff history, despite the fact Trevor Lawrence threw 5 interceptions in that game. But yep, the Chargers definitely had a major blunder in the playoffs against the Jaguars. They should have been moving on, but instead they ended up going on. Now, they made some pretty good additions this offseason to bolster that defense. They acquired the linebacker Eric Kendricks from the Vikings, Tay Crowder, the other linebacker, as well as defensive end Nick Williams for defensive line depth to go with Khalil Mack and Nick Bosa. And then they brought in Blake Lynch, the linebacker from the Arizona Cardinals. Now, there were a lot of key departures as well. Troy Reeder, he ended up signing a deal with the Vikings. Kyle Van Noy, he went over to the Ravens. Christian Covington, he joined the Lions. As I mentioned a few moments ago, Drew Tranquill, he goes over to the Chiefs. And Andre Carter stays in the AFC West by joining the Vikings. So he goes from LA to Las Vegas. Now, definitely expect the Chargers to be a contender for a playoff berth. Now, if things can break right for them and they can all get it together, and that defense can really get on point and do some damage, they could definitely challenge the Chiefs for the AFC West crown. That's the main thing that held them back last year, especially in that playoff game against the Jaguars, was the defense. They couldn't get timely stops when they needed them. I mean, the defense was playing great that first half and pressuring Trevor Lawrence, forcing him into all those turnovers. But then they went to that prevent defense in the second half and made, Trevor Lawrence a playoff legend in some ways, because people are going to talk about that comeback for years to come. But definitely like that they bolstered their defense, because they really didn't have any linebackers last year on that defense. I mean, Kyle Van Noy, he's pretty solid, but he's getting up there in age. Definitely like that they ended up getting Anthony Kendricks. I always liked him in Minnesota. Also, Tay Crowder's nice pickup as well. But I definitely like the fact that they did do things to bolster that defensive line, because Nick Bosa is way too talented not to have help around him. And a lot of people forget about that. People look at just that individual player, but you got to have help around that individual player. I don't care who it is. I mean, Joey Bosa, my bad. I always get them confused because they look alike, but I meant Joey Bosa. But yeah, Joey Bosa, he's way too talented for not him to have any help around him. If he would have had some help, 9 times out of 10, they go on to beat the Jaguars. Every great defensive lineman needs some help. I don't care who it is. We mentioned TJ Watt. He's got Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith around him. Aaron Donald. He had Leonard Floyd and eventually Von Miller. Even some of the greats we talk about, Lawrence Taylor. He had Harry Carson. You know, you definitely need their help. And the Chargers, they did a good job of getting them some help, getting them some depth, excuse me, just in case a significant injury may happen. But my concern with them is I still got questions about their secondary. And I mean, that secondary was exposed in the playoffs, and they didn't do too much to improve the secondary. Definitely wish they would have gotten another corner as well as another safety to go with Derwin James. That's another thing that messed up the Chargers. They don't have good enough secondary help. Definitely wish they would have addressed the secondary. So that's my question with them. Can the secondary be a pretty solid secondary, or will it mess around, get exposed by great quarterbacks and great wide receivers, and hell, even great tight ends? Definitely wonder that when it comes to the Chargers. Can they get pretty good play out of their secondary? If they can do that, then they'll definitely be improved as a defense. But if they don't, then when they face teams with great quarterbacks and wide receivers, it's going to be Jacksonville all over again. All right, good people, I'm going to take a quick timeout. I'll be right back, so don't go away. And I'll be back to break down the Denver Broncos. All right, I'm back, good people. All right, let's keep the preview going. My next team is the Denver Broncos. Last offseason, they acquired Russell Wilson from the Seattle Seahawks in a big trade. Now, things didn't pan out in Russ's first year due to the fact that he was injured, and also the coaching didn't help either. But during the offseason, they got rid of that coach. They brought in Super Bowl winning coach Sean Payton, who had a lot of success with the New Orleans Saints, multiple playoff appearances, a few NFC championship games. Like I mentioned, he won a Super Bowl also. And now let's look at their season. Here's a summary of their 2022 season. They finished 5-12. They missed the playoffs. They've added some key additions, especially on the defense. They added Frank Clark, who came over from the Chiefs. They're AFC West rivals. Cornerback Kyle Fuller. Center Kyle Fuller. The cornerback Traymon Smith. The running back Samaj Perine, who played with the Bengals last year. The defensive end Zach Allen. But unfortunately, the Broncos have some key departures, starting with Draymond Jones, one of their best players on the D-line. He went to the Seahawks, Russ's old team. Running back Marlon Mack signed with the Cardinals. Darius Phillips, he went to the Texans. And Calvin Anderson, he joined the Patriots. Now, the Broncos, they definitely made some nice moves. They definitely improved the defensive line after losing Draymond Jones. Also, they definitely did a good job of getting a third running back in Perine. He was pretty nice for the Bengals last year. He's definitely going to be nice for the Broncos this season. But my question is, what about receiver? Yes, they have Cortland Sutton. Also, they have Marvin Mims. Now, right now, their top receiver, Jerry Jeudy, he's out with an injury. And it looks like he's going to be out at the beginning of the season. So why didn't John Elway in the front office try to find a way to improve this receiving core to go around Russell Wilson? He needs another guy to throw to. He needs that number one guy. He definitely doesn't have that right now with Jeudy being gone. I mean, Sutton, he's pretty nice, but he's not Jerry Jeudy. And that's no offense to him. Also, why didn't they try to, do more to improve this offensive line? As we all know, Russ is getting up there in age. He needs all the protection he can get. Definitely is going to need all the protection he can get. Now, I definitely like their defense, especially them adding Frank Clark. They also have DJ Jones. They added Zach Allen. Definitely like Pat Surtain, the corner, Kareem Jackson, the safety, and Justin Simmons. Definitely wanted the Browns to get him, last off season. Definitely like their defense. They got a great defense, but the offense, I have a lot of questions about, especially at receiver and offensive line. Can Sutton hold down the fort while Jeudy is out? Also, can Mims step up and be that second receiver? And I'm definitely curious to see how, to see how the running game is going to be with Javonte Williams. I mean, he had a solid year last year, but definitely curious to see if it's going to prove now that Sean Payton is the head coach. And also, Russell Wilson's health is in question. Can he stay healthy for a full 17 games as John Elway and this front office expect the Broncos to be in the thick of this heavy AFC playoff race. And also, they're in the division competing with the Chiefs and the Chargers. Can they hold their own against those teams? You know, both these teams made the playoffs last year out of their respective division. We all know the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl. Do they have enough to stay in the mix with these two teams while trying to keep their own playoff hopes alive? Because you definitely don't want to get swept by neither one of these teams if you're the Broncos, because if that happens, even you get swept by one of them, that definitely puts a dent in your playoff chances. So the question is, do they have enough, pieces to stand toe-to-toe with those teams when they have to play them? Because those AFC West games are always a battle. They're always a shootout. For some reason, they always come down to the wire. Does Russ have enough around him to engineer a game-winning drive if he's down? Can the defense find that stop on Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert if they need to get the ball back, or they need to seal a close game? That's definitely my questions about the Broncos. Is their offense. Can Sean Payton, his offensive coordinator, find a scheme that can be tailored towards Russ and also can get the most out of the guys on the roster, especially with Jerry Jeudy being out, their number one receiver? And also, can that O-line protect Russell Wilson? All right, good people, I'm going to take a quick pause. I'll be right back to preview the Las Vegas Raiders. Don't go away. All right, I'm back, good people. The last team I'm going to preview in the AFC West is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, last year was the first season under head coach Josh McDaniels, excuse me. Definitely didn't go well. They finished the season 6-11. They missed the playoffs. And some key Raiders that have been there for a while, they parted ways with, starting with Derek Carr. They released him. He ended up signing a deal with the Saints. And also, tight end Darren Waller was traded to the New York Giants for a third-round pick this offseason. There's a couple of reunions here with McDaniels. Jimmy G, he signed with the Raiders after the 49ers released him. Also, Jacoby Myers, who he won a couple of Super Bowls with in New England, along with Jimmy G. They signed him, and they signed Austin Hooper. So the Raiders didn't really do a lot this offseason. Definitely thought they would have done a little bit more, especially to bolster that tight end spot. I mean, Hooper, he's a nice addition, but sometimes he can have easy drops. Definitely saw that a little bit while he was here in Cleveland with the Browns. Of course, Jimmy G has some weapons to throw to in Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, also another wide receiver in Hunter Renfrow. So they got a pretty good receiving core right there. So Jimmy G definitely has some weapons to throw to. Also, they got a nice defense anchored by the veteran defensive end Max Crosby. Also, they've got Chandler Jones next to him. They have Nate Hobbs as the corner. They also added Marcus Peters. Definitely liked him. Also, they got a they got a solid linebacking core with Devontae Diablo. But the question will be is, can Jimmy G find the same success he had in San Fran? Can he bring it to the Raiders and have them start winning games and putting themselves in a position to compete here in this AFC West alongside the Chiefs, the Chargers, and even the Broncos? Excuse me. We all know that Jimmy G was pretty solid out in San Fran, but we all know that was Kyle Shanahan's system. Can he find that success in Josh McDaniels' system? Now, of course, he was his offensive coordinator with the Patriots, where they won 2 Super Bowls. But it's different. But it's also going to be different because now McDaniels is the head coach. Plus, I wish the Raiders would have done something to bolster their defense a little bit more. Definitely think they could have upgraded at safety. Not to say that Marcus Epps and Meshin aren't solid, good safeties, but definitely think they could upgrade. They definitely could have upgraded more at secondary. And also, offensive line is a question for them as well. Can they protect Jimmy G and keep him healthy and for the most part keep him clean for 17 games? That's definitely the question. Also, can Jimmy G step up and bring the success he had with the 49ers over here to Vegas and put that with the Raiders? Because we all know this is going to be a tough AFC to go through this year. A lot of teams are vying for those 7 spots. And the Raiders are definitely trying to put themselves in the mix. The question is, can the offensive line be enough to protect Jimmy G? Also, can Hooper be a productive tight end? And also, will the secondary be good enough to definitely contain the elite wide receivers, and also, excuse me, also can they create turnovers on these quarterbacks? We'll definitely see with the Raiders. All right, so this is how I see the AFC West shaking out. I think the Chiefs are going to win the division once again, but it's going to be tough. It's not going to be smooth sailing like it was last year. I think the Chargers will definitely give them a nice run for their money. The Broncos, they're going to be in the mix, but they're going to come up with a little short. And I definitely think the Raiders, they really don't have enough to really compete in this division. So that's my AFC West predictions. All right, good people, I'm about to get out of here. Thank y'all for joining me wherever you tuned in on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. I greatly appreciate all you just hanging out with me for a while, taking time out your night to just hang with me. I'll be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock previewing the NFC West and give you my takes on that. Also, if you would like to support the channel, you can donate via Cash App or PayPal. There's the Cash App, #, $Talkin and Grubbin. Also, here's the PayPal email address, talkinandgrubbin@gmail.com. Any donation you give to the channel, I greatly appreciate it. And I'm very grateful for everyone who has supported the channel, past and present. There's not enough words to describe how I feel, so all I can just do is say thank you. Can't wait to do this again tomorrow. So until then, y'all have a good one. Love y'all to life. Salute. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of your night and enjoy your day. I'm out. See y'all tomorrow.